Hunting After Dark is sponsored by Feral Texas Outdoors Thermal and Night Vision Optics.
Hey guys, it's Jason Price with Hunting After Dark podcast, and of course my co-host Justin Rumley here, and we are joined by Clint Nolan. You may have seen him out there posting for us and doing different content and things out there. He goes and gets out there about as much as we do, but we all decided to kind of take a turn here with a new product from Infiray Outdoor. I ran it. Justin's run it, and then we kind of kicked it over to Clint just to kind of be able to kind of get his expert opinion. He's run all kinds of different companies and things, but we're glad to have him come and sit down with us. He made a trip over here on a Friday to come chat with us, and we swapping gear. And I was like, well, come on over here. Let's go sit over here and let's do a little podcast, and let's talk about the new. This is the hybrid 384. So it kind of looks like the 50. But it's in that FDE color, so you can tell. And then it kind of looks like the hybrid. It's kind of like the hybrid 75 and the hybrid 50 kind of had a little baby, and the little baby was the 384 version of it. But there's a bunch of different things, I think, in this scope. And I think everyone out there is wanting to know kind of what are people's thoughts? What is it? We're going to have footage that, of course, we're going to put up. But what are their thoughts looking at a 384 and the biggest selling point, I think, in the marketing deal on this right now is the
90 hertz refresh rate. And you have the option too, so you can run it at 90 hertz. And then as your battery starts to get lower, you have the option to flip it over to the 50 hertz to kind of conserve the battery just a little bit. So that's one of their bigger strategies behind coming out with this new unit.
Yeah, they did that, I think, back in the day with some, like the first Pulsar units used to do that, and I know the Trijicon used to do that, where you could do that and save on some of that. But the selling point, what do you think about 90 hertz, running shots, things like that?
You don't really, I don't think you can notice the difference. It's, you know what I mean? You're only going to see up to 60 hertz anyway.
Yeah, I think that processor is pretty quick. You didn't have any delays in shots.
No, there's not a lot of delays. Really, to be honest with you, I didn't have to ever drop it down to the 50 hertz at all. So
that's good. So, so many guys complained, because there used to be an argument, and this is maybe kind of just like the old school thing, is that 30 hertz and 60 hertz guys were like, well, it doesn't keep up enough. Is this the new thing that 90 is going to be quicker shots? Think about this, guys. Think about coyotes that are posted up there long distance. If they flinch, move, is that processor quick enough to where you're kind of noticing to pull off if they've turned back in on themselves and things like that. So I don't know. We all kind of ran it, but you haven't quite noticed quite a difference just yet. But I'm sure there's going to be some guys out there that are going to really notice the difference. That this is something they use every day. We only took a couple weeks with it each, and everyone's going to get some different things out of it. But I thought that was going to be kind of interesting to see if this is where thermal companies are going to go here in the future.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the biggest people that are going to notice the 90 hertz between, the 50 is the guys who are out there pig hunting every single night, taking the running shots, just out there, hunting in general, every single night, that they're going to be able to notice the 90 versus the 50 refresh rate. And, like I said, unless you're taking running shots all the time, it's great and all, but, at the end of the day, the big difference between that one and everything else is just, it's hard to really notice.
Well, this is their first. I think, Clint, you actually brought this up. This is the first 50 millimeter 384 they've ever done that they've had here in the U.S.
Yes.
Other companies kind of had some 50 384s, but this is theirs first one.
Yep.
And which way they're going to go, I think you were asking me, it's like we talked about if the scope, they had the scope style over in overseas and things like that with like a TL50, but, this kind of gets everyone kind of an idea what a 50 millimeter sensor looks like in an Infiray Outdoor product.
Right.
And then you had mentioned something earlier about talking about this unit particularly, like you thought that maybe there might be some utility in the clip-on, because the hybrid essentially it's weapon dedicated, but a hybrid also means that it can be a clip-on.
Yes. Yep.
So what do you think about the?
I think it's got a good selling point for that, for those guys that want to, they want to use it as a clip-on. Basically, I think it's a pretty good model for that, being a 50 millimeter.
Yeah, being 50 millimeter, put it on there. Because, most of us, we pretty much all, Justin did the same thing. It's pretty much you ran it without the eye cup on there.
No eye cup for me. I wear glasses. It's just smudges it up.
Rip those eye cups off. And I always thought it was interesting.
I don't have a single one on anything.
I always thought it was interesting, they got put the RMR on the little bitty Picatinny rail there at the end. You want to go sit there and put that. But I am kind of curious to see. I mean, this unit does have a laser rangefinder. So you know how some of the ballistic calculators they got, like you could even go and put one of those. Was it Garmin that has that new one?
It's the Vortex.
The Vortex.
the
The
Vortex,
Vortex has that one that you put even in that FD color. I'd be curious about how people will be putting those on there. And I've seen some folks using some of that, but I guess you always could put that on there. And I have seen some people, I think, sneak one on like the 75. But essentially, this is still the same housing. What'd you think about all those pallets? Because the hybrid is just a little bit different than some of the other, because you run all the other Infiray Outdoor ones.
Yeah, no, it looks a lot different. It's got a little more gray to it. It kind of grew on me, the colors. So, and flipping through, I don't know exactly what the ones other than the pallets, the little diamond and the bird. The different,
it's kind of like these scene modes is kind of like the best way to describe it. Like other companies have done that, but like the star ones seem to be the best on recognition.
Mm-hmm.
And
I agree.
And the bird was kind of like a highlight mode, and some of those scene modes, sometimes scanning versus what you're going to be doing as far as target acquisition and things like that.
Yeah, I ended up running it in the star mode pretty much the whole time. I tried the other ones and I wasn't a big fan of it.
Find one you like. You don't have to mess with the settings too much, but some of those scene modes kind of help out. Video recording seemed like that worked pretty seamless for you. I mean, because the recoil
recording,
activated.
I didn't use the recoil activated at all. I turned that off. He had told me that running it, you didn't have the option if you run that to
Versus
run
manual.
the other. Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
you can't run them both.
Yeah, it's kind of one or the other.
One or the other. So I chose just to record manually.
Yeah, when I ran it, the recoil activated, I never missed any videos or anything, so that was kind of nice. It kind of made it lazy for me to run some of the videos on it. It was just reading the recoil activated on.
Mm-hmm.
You get excited, forget to do it, or think you hit it, and then you're getting on stuff that's moving around. Heck, I did that the other night. Unfortunately, I did that on the 75 hybrid with my son that was shooting. I did not manually hit to record and missed his first boar being shot, so he'll probably guilt trip me forever that I don't know how to record. Do this professionally for my life, and I don't remember to hit record. So for other guys out there, don't make mistakes. I did that recoil activating recording might help you out if you're wanting to have some hunting stories later and make some memories with your kids or your buddies or for yourself. It might be something that's going to be beneficial.
Yeah, absolutely.
I did notice that some of the recordings that I did, I would have a little lag in the audio. It would either be kind of stepped. The audio would be offset from the video with some of the video that I had.
Yeah, and in the manual recording.
Yeah, in the manual, which, I mean, it wasn't released yet, so it didn't even show up on the app when you go to download it.
Mm-hmm.
That
because we kind of got
there,
us a little
so.
prototype. We kind of got us a little prototype ahead of time, so we're all kind of running wasn't the final version of everything. I mean, even with the laser rangefinder, you had to use a different laser rangefinder because we did. Justin and I didn't use the laser rangefinder. Clint had to get another laser rangefinder because the prototype version we had didn't even work with the most current laser rangefinder.
That's exactly right.
So yeah, we got to put our notes in, and luckily everything now is all kind of figured out now. But I know when we're kind of running it, it's like you get to go figure out all the kinks. So now he gets to know what it's all about, getting to run all the kinks through everything.
Yep.
So we had the rangefinder. I do like this rangefinder better than like what the MK1s were. You kind of got that more of that cylinder. I thought, honestly, when we first saw the hybrid series, they were going to run those bigger ones. So that kind of like, I don't know, what is that? Kind of like a little anchor battery, kind of like a cylinder almost. It's not real huge.
Yeah, it's not huge.
And it clears off enough the side to where you're not worried about anything getting in the way, lens caps out of the way.
And that actually comes off if you don't want to run that very easily compared to other units.
Not too bad at all.
Yeah, so
almost lost that. That's how.
Almost lost, slipped this sucker off a couple times. What do you think about turn dial zoom? I mean, that's the one thing that I'm always the big fan of is.
Yeah,
what do y'all think about that turn dial zoom?
That was one of the best features on there is that zoom.
Well,
how easy it is. You just reach up and
the
just
rotary
click.
encoder. If we say it, what's in the manual, it's the rotary encoder.
Yeah.
I mean, the zoom. That's all.
Yeah, the zoom on there.
That's it. But
I mean, it's kind of nice because you get the textile feel of dialing up, dialing down, especially guys when you're like in the dark. I mean, if you're wearing gloves, because I'll tell you right now, we're definitely not wearing gloves or anything down here because it's like 100 degrees right now. We're all field testing this stuff, and we're still burning up at 90 at night. But if you did have gloves, I mean, that's what's benefited there is not having any kind of push button type deals, being able to run that.
Well, it's got the detent, so you can feel the click. Even if you have gloves on, it's cold out, you're still going to feel it.
That response, the response when you try to go through the menus and everything when you're pressing down, so you know if you press down or not. What do you think about battery life?
I never had an issue with the battery life.
Yeah, I know. That's the thing is they're getting so good on their batteries. It's like we used to run battery tests on everything, but if it's ever questionable, we'll run battery tests. But some of these, I mean, we're not even really running battery tests anymore. I mean, a lot of the times they're running 6 to 8 hours per charge on these cartridge batteries, where we're not even really running battery tests anymore because it's lasting people most of the night.
And what I did when I go to the next place or we go somewhere else, I just throw it on the charger. You know, it charges in the unit. So
yeah, that's what's nice too is that you're not running the docks and stuff. You just unplug that laser rangefinder we have plugged in, put USB-C. I mean, we would do that like in the buggy and stuff sometimes. Every once in a while, I was like, we haven't charged it in a day. We probably should just plug the sucker in.
It's called the lazy man charge.
It's a little. I mean, it's a little bit. It'll burn it up a little faster when you're running the rangefinder, but I didn't have any issue with it.
Did you run continuous or did you do single mode?
It's so easy to switch it back and forth, and then when you set up the ballistic table and all that stuff, you get the drop downs in there. It's a pretty nice setup.
So you mentioned ballistic tables. So all the hybrid line series now have software, even the 384 here, for a ballistic table build out for their customized reticle. Their customized reticle, you have build outs for drop points. Where it can adjust that with the laser rangefinder in real time when you do laser. Now, of course, you can't do that in continuous mode. You have to have it in just a press mode.
But you have the chevrons in there with your markers on it, depending on what table you set up. So if you range it and it's at 400, you got a 400 mark on there, you know where to go anyway.
Yeah, so, I mean, I ran through it. I did it the hard way. Do not do the Excel file inside the scope. I went and put from 5 yards to 2,000 yards. Yeah, I filled out the entire table. That is something internal that you're not supposed to mess with. And I did it just messing around, just going through, putting every little. I did not shoot everyone. I did cheat and use a ballistics app when I did go through, but it did take me about 30 minutes to fill that table out. But no, go through the scope, select your ranges, and then go in. I know we were talking about earlier that seeing some of those, you might want to do it inside.
Yeah.
Yes, adjusting for some of it, or get into a shaded area where you can see the display a little bit better.
It's definitely better to fill it out inside where you got, a nice backdrop where you can get a dark or a light color, where you can actually see the numbers and letters in there.
Yeah, because it pulls up the little table, guys, for your bullet drop points.
Table.
I mean, you can get as precise with this as you want to on the yardage and all the way out to, I cannot remember what it is. Oh, it's, the first one's like 500.
The first one's 500 every 25. The second one is 1,000 every 50. And then third one is 100 yards up to 2,000.
Yep. And
every
so,
100.
Guys, if you're wanting something long range, I mean, if you're this one right now is selling for like $3,800. If you're wanting to get into thermal hunting at night and you want some of that holdover and ballistic range stuff, you probably want to go with the hybrid series. It's probably got some of the best that's available in there. So that is something that's really cool. But I mean, it is nice to have that available. I mean, most of the other products that are kind of out there and some of the competition, you can input some of their data, but you can't totally override every single thing. So you build out the table yourself at your specifications. So if you're very, very particular, one of these PRS precision shooter guys that really want something particular, this is probably the way to go, is to go build your own table.
Yes. Yeah, I'd agree, because I don't even think you have to have this unit on to set your table up.
Correct. Yeah, because you have your reticles and your customizable reticle.
If you know your yardage where you're hunting and your drops, you don't even need the rangefinder. So it's a pretty good
Easy
unit.
enough. Yeah. Keep it simple.
The only bad thing about that is you have to use their dedicated chevron style with the numbers off the side.
And I did mention that to them. I said, hey, you might want to look into, if you're going to expand upon some of this, just some different reticle options additionally.
At least 2 or 3 more.
And they've been pretty good about that stuff. I think this is kind of like their first forte into the ballistic calculation, and they kind of left things open to the user. So I think it's going to be nice. And they've been taking feedback and they've been asking. I mean, there are courses that I know Scotty's been doing on some of the ballistic calculator stuff there at Ira USA that you can do and play with some of those things. But I don't know. I mean, I think this is a good start, and I think they'll be improving upon some of this. But I was impressed that you have a 384 resolution thermal now with a ballistic calculator, and you have that option now available. And not necessarily breaking the bank. I mean, if you go up to the 50, I mean, you go up to 75. I mean, looking $6,000-$7,000.
Yeah. No, it's a good entry level for what it does. I mean, it's exactly what you need it to do for some long range shooting with a 384.
Well, I'm a traditional black gun guy, except for the gun you saw today. What do you think about the FDE color? They changed it up a little bit. Yeah, no.
I mean, I'd prefer it. I mean, if I had the option, I mean, you do get the option, I think, between black and that color there. I mean,
if you went to the hybrid 5640, you'd get the black. But
yeah, but I mean, I feel like the black is just more common than everything. I was like, no, if you got a different color option to get, I'm definitely going that route.
yeah, go and get that desert tan, coyote tan color. I mean, I'm not kidding. I went and got me a new gun, and I went and got it in that coyote tan FDE color, just to mix it up myself. But I fought it for a long time. these color scopes like this, I was like, it's like, I guess I'm going to have to get caught up with the times. Everybody's wanting to go get Cerakote work done and everything else. So it's kind of cool. They did mix it up here with the hybrid 384. So I guess maybe some product recognition as well. Don't get it confused with some of the other hybrids that are in that family. But I don't know. I thought it was an interesting scope. Something that is unique with this, and we'll see if we can show this, if you can get that. You ran ADM.
Yes.
So I ran the standard mount on there, the recoil compensating mount. But what happens is you can run their standard mount, or you can remove that mount and then put this base plate and adapt it to American Defense. And you can do your single lever American Defense mount on here, and where you got your single QD there. So you have options as far as how you want to mount this. You know, you do have several screw holes options if you need it a little bit further back. So that, I think there's a lot of things that are available to this. I mean, and the sight height is different. No, between the ADM, I don't know exactly the measurements, but you are lower profile with the American Defense mount. Like, I know in like the hybrid 75, I couldn't run the 75 because the 75 was touching my gun like by a millimeter barely.
Yep.
But I mean, the 384 being a 50, it's not an issue for anybody running American Defense. You got plenty of riser on there. That's just something on those. But it's nice to have both of those options in that scope, especially if someone's going to be using that clip-on mode. It is kind of nice to have that American Defense where you just clip it on from the daytime, ready to roll.
And then that standard mount also, it should help out with being able to put it on a bolt action too. It's going to give you just a slight bit more eye relief versus that American Defense. Basically, the American Defense is going to cut some of that eye relief off for a bolt action. So you do have the option to put the standard on the scope, so you can put it on a bolt action to get that eye relief that you're looking for. That's always a big question. Well, how's it going to fit on a bolt action rifle? Is it, well, it'll work. You just have to use the standard mounting option. You just won't have the benefit of putting an American Defense mount on it.
One thing I don't know is it's since we're kind of all not cheating, but we just all kind of just plug the scope in and don't ever take the battery out. They have that. Their ratings on here, they actually have a sealing valve on the battery, so they actually have their water rating and water resistance here. So they made this thing to kind of be tough, go beat this thing up between the water and dust resistance. I mean, right now, we've had a lot of rain down here. I mean, going out running in high humidity where moisture and things are around. I mean, think about the guys up north, they're not getting snow. That sealing valve around there, they really have that well. And you think about batteries being insulated and closed off, that has a tighter fit than what they traditionally have had in some of the MK1s. So that is one upgrade that is in the hybrid. That's why the hybrid batteries will only fit the hybrid. You technically can get an MK1 battery in here, but you'll notice there's spacing around it, and that's because they're putting that sealing valve for your weather conditions. So that's something else that was upgraded, which I'm surprised they actually kept it in 384. So I'm saying there's a lot of these little bitty little upgrades and things that you're getting. It's kind of like, well, why is it $3,800? Well, it's because of all these little things start adding up that you're adding into this scope. Yeah,
nitpick
exactly.
it pretty good.
Yeah, but I thought it was fun to run. 90 hertz refresh rate. We all kind of played around to see. I was curious to see how that's going to go looking forward. But 384. 50 millimeter sensor, 17 micron, 90 hertz refresh rate, option to go to 50. And then I did like I think everybody, it's kind of like the turn dial zoom was it's kind of one of the most awesome features to be able to do. What do you think about like menu navigation with this unit?
Okay, so without this on there, super simple.
Without the laser rangefinder?
Yeah. As soon as you put this on there, everything changes.
Lots of menu options
popping
up.
There's a couple extra things that they add. combination wise that do certain things.
Yeah, the button combos change up. Yeah, once the laser rangefinder's on, about pressing 2 buttons
It's
to a
super easy
continuous.
once you read the instructions on how to do it.
Yeah, because it's just like once you hit the rotary encoder and hold it down, then you've got the inline menu and it's pretty much on off. And I did like that. The operating system is completely different in these hybrids than like in MK1s or even in the bolts. So it's a completely different operating system, which I kind of like the operating system that the hybrid has.
It's decent for. I mean, as many buttons as there are, it's laid out to where everything's very easy to find with your fingers. With
Instead of instead of a straight inline menu, having it in quads, having the quadrants kind of been a benefit.
There's a short press too for a menu also.
Yeah, for the short press menu for like your brightness, contrast, some of those things that you want to change on the fly.
And it also has a screen brightness too.
Yeah, you know that is interesting. You mentioned that because not all scopes have actual screen brightness. They have a brightness setting, which is more adjusting the image. But yeah, the third setting in there is actually the brightness of the screen. So you're at night and you're like, man, I'm getting all this wash out to the face, or your eye fatigue is getting increased. It's a good point to make. I kind of forget to mention that, but you're right. It does have that feature.
A lot in foggy conditions, and high humidity, because we were in West Texas using that thing. It was pretty brutal at 6 in the morning when we were on pigs. It was real tough to see anything real deep, even with the RH50R and the Sidewinder that we had. So,
what was your most memorable kill that you can think of with the hybrid here?
I got one that's pretty close range. We walked in about 50 yards, and she picked her head up, and I think the guys that were with us ended up pulling off a little early. She picked her head up, and I hit her dead square in the chest. I was going to hit her between the eyes, but she picked her head up and I had to drop her. So that was probably the best one. And then Ron ran it once, and I was running the bolt right beside him, and we both shot the same pig, and it was that far apart.
Pow, pow.
Yeah.
That's the last one you're right there. I feel like your little sniper's running around in the dark.
It was pretty nice.
It's pretty cool.
But 3-base mag at 50 yards, no problem seeing stuff.
No.
Not too close, perfectly fine.
No, it's great.
Good. All right, so that's a big thing. Everybody kind of wants to know about that 3-base mag, and so it's like some of the other hybrids. You got the 50's 3, and then the 75 is 4. So, but in the 3 to 4 being the 3-base, pretty much is like 2.5 okay, but 3-base seems to be kind of getting to be the standard for most everything.
And it looked really good. The closer you got, it looked way better than further away, even though it's 50 millimeter. So
yeah, you're getting everything from that sensor when you're sitting there looking at distance. So you're going to go shoot pigs, going to shoot coyotes. I think this thing is going to be perfect for what pretty much I think is going to it's going to tap into everybody's what they want to kind of use it for.
Yeah, it's going to be a multi-purpose scope. There's just you don't have to just use it for pigs because it's what you're going to set it up for. It's going to be kind of a multi-purpose. You can use it for pretty much anything: coyote hunting, pig hunting. Like I said, everything.
Yeah, and if you set that ballistic table up, you can use it at your ranges, and you know what your ranges are. It works good.
Yeah.
I ran through it today and shot 200 and 300, no problem, without range finding it. Just kind of knew where it was. Set them up.
How many guys do we get calls asking about clip-ons all the time?
Yeah,
they always trying to go between weapon dedicated to clip-on and back and forth and.
Yeah, like I said, it's going to be a multi-role. I was going to say some guys, they want a good clip-on, and yes, there is some other options out there that are good, but you getting kind of a 2-in-1 here. You getting a dedicated scope, and then you have the option to turn around and use that as a clip-on. And this one, I think is going to be you're going to see it be more common because it's not as big. This one's a little bit smaller than the Hybrid 50, and then of course it's a lot smaller than the Hybrid 75. So it's more beneficial to be used as a clip-on and a dedicated scope more than you would see probably the Hybrid 5640 and the Hybrid 75 be used as a clip-on.
There's one thing I forget to kind of mention, and is the display being 2560 by 1920. Is that there's no real looking around in it. You literally just throw it to your eye and you're right there. Nice huge display.
High relief is great on it.
Yeah, you can sit there and just look inside. You already get target orientation. You had a nice wide field of view in there. It's not like it was ever feeling like you were limited or having to really kind of focus to look inside of it. It's just this nice big display in your eye ready to go. Yep. That is something I've noticed in the hybrids. Even like the Bolt DH50C to a point, but I do like the way the hybrid displays are versus a lot of the other products.
Yeah, display is phenomenal. I was going to say, like you mentioned, you have no issues on seeing anything inside the screen. When you put your eye up to it, boom, it's there.
Yeah, you don't have to move around. Like,
Yeah, and
oh,
that's the
it's
thing.
over
Like, you don't
there.
have the eye cup on.
the whole
I mean,
thing
not
is
even
there.
having the eye cup on, you can just throw right up into it, and you can be offset from it and be perfectly fine. You're not needing this to kind of guide
Right.
you to the screen. You already know.
Yeah, it's like if you're in the kitchen and you want to go watch TV in the living room, you just peek around the corner. That's about how it is.
Yeah,
I mean, you can see it.
exactly. I mean, think about guys. I mean, not everybody uses handhelds. I mean, some of these guys are just running with a gun. We're not. I'm not as young as some of these guys in their 20s running around, but they'll sit there and just hold the gun up. They'll sit there and one hand that gun and be looking and just walking and stalking up on stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And I said, well, this is the one to do it with a nice, huge display, and they're not dropping a whole bunch in the bank. But some of these younger guys, I think you're going to really like some of the 384 and the hybrid. But
And the focus is very easy too.
Oh, yeah,
so
the focus
it's
right here.
very minimal turning to focus in on the target.
and it's kind of like you get that fine-tuned focus with it, and I did notice that too.
It was very similar to
Smooth.
the RH50R. Very similar with the focus.
Yeah, I guess that is true because the way
Very
that turned
minimal-
out.
very
Because
minimal
some of them,
movements.
when they're too loose, like you're going
yeah.
past all the time. When you have to have a little resistance
got a
against
little
it,
resistance,
it
it's
helps.
stiffer.
It helps you. It feels like you can get it precisely when you just turn past left to right, kind of like working a dial on a safe kind of deal, and you just get that just perfectly.
Yep. I agree. I mean, you don't have to sit there and spin. You can just slight movements. You're good to go. You got it locked in.
Your brightness is also controlled here for your screen. Your
Yeah.
screen brightness is here also.
Yep,
if you
in
don't
the
want to go
quad.
through the menu.
Yeah, in the quad, you're recording, your palette changes, your power save button, or versus, like you said, did different options, or your laser rangefinder button to
It is a little more technical with the buttons than a beginner would be without reading the book. They're going to have a tough
yeah,
time.
read the book, know your combos, long presses. Because because there's a short press option for all 4 buttons, but then there's the long press option
Yeah, and
for
then you
what they
throw
do.
that on, then you get combos to turn on the laser,
Yeah.
to adjust the laser to the box, and
Oh yeah, I turned I
extreme.
turned on the visible laser one night, and I was just like, shit, what button combinations did I press? I was like, oh, I got to turn it off. I got to turn it
who
off.
did that? Who did
I was
that? Who
like,
turned that off?
I was like, there's a red laser pointing at me. I
you
wanted
hold
to
them
walk
two
in.
together for like 3 seconds.
Yeah. I was like, I just didn't hold it down long enough, and I was sitting out there. I was like, oh, look at this red laser on.
Who's behind me? Who turned it on? It wasn't me.
I'm sitting there with my phone. It's like, damn it, I got to download the manual. It's embarrassing. I probably shouldn't tell this story to anybody. Because I can go through the manual to figure out what button combos I need. But hey, they all have combos. Some of them it's short presses, long presses, 2 buttons from, but, you go out there and figure out your products and know what you need to do. And you got to have a lot of options. And this thing definitely is full of a lot of options. But I want to thank Clint here for coming and joining us today and talking to us. He's been field
absolutely.
testing some stuff and helping us out. There's been so many products released here in the last year, and I don't think they're stopping. I think they're going to keep on
It's
going.
just
It's some
getting
new
Looking
crazy.
products.
forward to it. I'm ready.
We got some other
Keep 'em
stuff
coming.
that we need to chat with you about too. That's coming out that we're excited about here. That we're going to be getting here going into the fall. I mean, there's
Getting good.
everybody's got some
Getting
cool
good.
stuff. I let him borrow the hybrid 384 because he tried to get me to give him the TX60C, and I told him no. I was like, no, I'm still gonna keep that one. I will tell you, Infiray Outdoor stepping into some, got into 384 kind of the affordable, but then also a little more on the expensive side. That TX60C is nice. It is very, very nice. They've had
Rub it
some
in.
awesome
Rub it
products
in.
this year.
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
just say here.
I would say it's very nice.
It's that nice. There you
Well,
go.
hell, Justin was even trying to hit me up. As like, oh yeah, you got that new gun. You just go put that TX60C on
I'm
the
trying
other
to
gun.
help you out. You got a brand new Virgin gun. Haven't killed nothing. I was like, put that TX60 on there. Go have
to
fun
use.
with it.
But thank you so much, Clint, taking
Oh, yeah,
time
no
to chat with
problem,
us,
man.
and let Justin close us out here.
Yeah, be sure to check us out on Spotify and Apple Podcast at Hunting After Dark. You can also find us on the YouTube page at Hunting After Dark Podcast. And if you'd like to, send us an email at huntingafterdarkpodcast@gmail.com. And check us out at our website at huntingafterdark.com. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Later.